Hey guys, my name's Cole Overton, and the topic I chose to write about is gender. I chose to write about this gender because it's something that's been very controversial in society and something that a lot of people are scared to voice their opinion about. While I think it's perfectly fine for someone to feel like they're the opposite sex, I don't think people should get sex reassignment surgery. In my first paragraph, I discussed the difference between gender and sex. Gender is a state of being male or female in reference to cultural and social terms rather than biological, whereas sex is your DNA. Regardless of how people feel, we are all born with certain DNA, and even though a man may feel like a woman, there is no way for him to actually be a woman. In one of the articles I researched, Gender Identity, the author states according to this approach, gender is created and collectively defined by society, something cultural rather than innate and natural. Our society has become so focused on sex that we've forgotten that you don't have to be a girl to act like a boy. Uh, One of the main reasons I feel this way is because surgery is such a great risk, and it's becoming more and more popular for people just go under the knife to fix themselves where there's nothing wrong with them in the first place. Another article I read, the author Julie Bindel, she talks about how sex reassignment surgery is unnecessary and proclaims treatment is brutal and the results far from perfect. One thing I read throughout several articles is how oftentimes people regret getting the sex reassignment surgery. And one quote that really stuck out to me is if I had been offered an alternative, I would have jumped on the chance. Another reason I feel so strongly about this topic is the malicious intent that comes with it. One thing I'm sure y'all remember is a debate over the House Bill 2 back in 2016. Governor McCrory passed HB 2, which requires transgender people to use a bathroom that corresponds with their sex at birth. Although a lot of people were upset over this, it's something I fully support because so many people these days have the wrong intentions. One reason we have separate bathrooms is so each sex feels comfortable using a public restroom, which is a particularly vulnerable place. If we made it to where transgender people are allowed to use either bathroom, what's stopping a man that wants to pry on women from dressing up as a woman and going into the bathroom? Uh, Another way changing your sex can be used to advantage is during sports. Just last month, biological male won first place in the women's world champion cycling event. While for some people this was a victory, there was a lot of people that feel like McKinnon had an unfair advantage due to his natural size and muscle mass. So questions asked is, should a transgender woman be allowed to compete with biological woman when she may have a clear advantage? Likewise, if a biological male becomes transgender woman and goes to prison, which prison should they go to? Like what one of the articles I researched had the following quote: "Large numbers of female prisoners have experienced childhood abuse, rape, and will fail to appreciate the reasons behind a biological man living among them, particularly one who still has a penis that has raped a woman." The question that becomes, do you put the need over the person or the needs of many? My last argument is the main reason I chose to research this topic. In the article, Transgender Ideology Hurts Kids, the author explains that not allowing children to fully develop and come to terms with their sex does more harm than good. So many people have been suggesting that kids know early on that they should be transgender. I disagree with that. Just because a boy wants to play with a Barbie doll or a girl wants to play with tools doesn't mean they should be transgender. Kids have enough to worry about these days. They shouldn't be concerned with trying to decide if they should have sexual reassignment surgery. Instead of teaching our kids that they have to do things that correspond with their sex, why don't we encourage them that they can play whatever they want, they can do whatever they want, it's fine. After all, most activities we do as adults can be interchangeable. I'm not thought of as a girl if I go shopping for clothes. It's just something that needs to get done. I'm not thought as a more feminine if I cook for my family. I just enjoy cooking more than my wife. So why do we push kids to be one or the other? As Anderson stated, and transgender ideology hurts kids. The most helpful therapies do not remake the body to conform with thoughts and feelings, which is impossible, but rather to help people find healthy ways to manage their tension and move towards accepting the reality of their bodily selves. I think very common for kids and teens to feel that they're uncomfortable in their own body, and we need to encourage them to find themselves without physically changing their bodies to do it. The last source I'll talk about tonight is Jesse Singal's article. It's an article interview a family where the 14-year-old daughter she started to think she was meant to be a boy. Instead of her parents encouraging her to start acting like a boy because that's how she felt, they let her have her space, work through her feelings, and supported her along the way. Eventually, she came to the conclusion that she was happy the way she was. We need to allow children to explore their feelings without pushing them to make decisions. In a conclusion, as a society, we need to start realizing that activities do not need to be gender specific. Avoid mutilating our bodies in order to feel comfortable, because no matter what hormones or surgery become available, we can't change our DNA.